Bring us your baffling.
Bring us your audacious.
We want your sticky notes, sketchbooks, and scribbles. Let's pin them to the wall, kick them around.
Kick them around, see what happens.
Because we're in the how do I get this startup off the ground business.
The taking your business, global business.
We're in the problem-solving business. 400,000 people.
Ready to help you solve problems while they're still called opportunities.
From figuring it out to getting it done.
We're here to help.
No, just I was real pleased with the coming out with the victory we had this past weekend, going on the road and winning a game, and a game that goes down to the wire is always good to see your boys fight and win and win a game like that. And I was awful proud of them. We had a couple of games in a row like that when we were able to get that one, and just a hard-fought battle. We said before the season that defense will be the strength of this football team, and that's surely been the case. Offensively, as we've tried to do some different things offensively with different people, we said the biggest thing we got to do is score one more point in the other team, and we're very close to that right now is winning by scoring one more point. Although we've had 3 of our wins have been by good solid margins. We've lost a couple tight ball games, but it was a good team victory. For all phases of the game, and awful proud of our players to go up there and fight and continue just to play so hard and to try to realize their goals, and so good victory for us. But now that one's behind us after the next day, and we've already gotten headlong into Miami, Ohio, and it becomes the next game, the biggest game, and the one we got to focus on now. So we're looking forward to it. Well, I mean, we thought coming in with the people coming back and the experience that we had, that defense would be the strength of our football team, and we kind of made a commitment to running the football a little bit more and playing a little more ball possession. Just like Saturday, we had the ball for 34 minutes, and they had it for 26. We wanted to do a little more things that would help us get over the hump and depend on that defense, and they've come true. I mean, Bowling Green, again, they've done that to a lot of people. Our defense, I mean, they've got a system right now with a quarterback that runs it, and they've caused a lot of concerns for a lot of people. But our defense has played well pretty much all year. And even in the first couple of games for at least a half against some pretty good teams, defense kept us in that ball game. But with our linebacking, led by our linebacking crew, Jatavis Brown, Dylan Evans, especially Daryl Monroe, up front people, now that Rodney Coe, who was injured early, has got back to full strength. Although Cody Grice has nursed a sprained ankle several games. He's doing all right now. We got the front 7 has done well in the secondary. They've been, like I say, you're more likely to not be afraid to punt the ball and run the ball on 3rd and long and punt the ball and play a little more field position. We lost a game, just to go with what you're talking about, to Central Mission with a lot of punts around the 50-yard line, but knowing that our defense would get us the ball back. And so you play, well, should we have done that? I mean, you can second guess when you lose a game, and I do that to myself. But the point was, when you play to your defense, and they have really come through us. I can't say enough about them. It starts with Jatavis and Cody, and as vocal leaders of that group, and then I think the secondary has come through and played very well. We replaced 2 safeties, and our safeties have played very, very solid. Zach Geiser and Bryce Cheek. And then when Bryce Cheek goes up and plays nickel or dime, we use Jordan George. Cornerbacks have been extremely solid. And so can't say enough about the job they've done, Chuck Amata and the staff, his coaching staff. Well, the cornerback play, we came in here, we really struggled to get the cornerbacks, to recruit cornerbacks, and we were able to get some depth there. And they're the ones that have to play one-on-one. The safeties obviously have to keep and give them up a big play as well. But again, we've got some talent there that I think can compete in the league. But our front puts pressure on people. I think in the press conference after the UMass game, when somebody was talking about Frohnapple, he was pressured all day. It had a lot to do with it. We sacked him twice, but really 3 times, counting that he had one intentional grounding in the grass. It was about basically 3 sacks, but we were on him all day long. So I think that front 7 has a lot to do with the amount of time they have to attack our secondary. So we need to have that happen again. We need to put pressure on Miami the same way, and we expect our defense to play well, and you have to recognize the fact that we turned the ball over twice in the first half on our side of the ball, and that could easily have spelled defeat right off because you throw 2 touchdowns right there, and you can imagine what the score is and how that game differentiates. But our defense held them to 2 field goals, and so they've done a good job. Again, every game is important. If you win a couple of games in the past, does that make this game less important? I mean, you really, when you think about it, every one of them is critical. Every game is critical. There's some that you can look at some of the strength of some of the early teams. You say, well, what's going to happen is going to happen. That being said, every game for a while has been big, and I'm gonna say that I think in this conference, unless you're perennially the top contender in the conference, for those of us like Akron who have tried to get our program over the hump, every game is critical. Every early game, you begin to think about where you're going and how you're going to get there, and I think it's a great challenge because of the strength of this conference and the strength of our non-conference to find a place where this one's not critical or that one's not critical. That being said, going on the road against Miami is the most important because it's the next game. I would say this: whether you want to play on the road or at home, 3 of our 4 victories have been on the road, So I told it, just like I'm telling my team, you guys are road warriors. You play great on the road. Let's be glad on the road. We'll change our tune the next couple of weeks. But I do say this. I believe that having coached at NAIA football and Division III football and coached in the SEC at some of the biggest, loudest stadiums in America, home field advantage is a lot about crowd noise, crowd atmosphere, and the ability to disrupt an offensive football team. Disrupt the players' attention. When you're at this level of football, it's not quite at that level where the disruption and crowd noise where you can't hear the snap. You can't hear the snap. You can't communicate on the sideline because the crowd's going to. So there are certain things that make home field advantage different, and you have to have coached at a lot of different levels to say this. But I've always enjoyed, whether I was coaching at Salem College or Samford University or North Alabama or Akron, or getting on a bus with my players or a plane, no distractions, just with your guys, eating dinner with your guys, being in a hotel with just your guys, no families asking the players to go eat with them, no families coming seeing if they can get tickets, no players worried about having to take care of all their friends coming into town. There is a great element of a focus you can have on the road, and so over the years, I've learned to try to accentuate that. So I'm not sure. Would I rather play at home? Yes, I always would rather play at home. I like playing in front of my crowd and playing at home. But I don't. I think at certain levels of crowd noise and levels of play, the away games become less a factor in how you're able to play during the game time. Now, all that's just added stuff to talk about for you because it's a critical game, and we've got to go out there and whatever we had on the road against UMass and Eastern Michigan and Louisiana Lafayette, those kind of we've got to go in there with the same frame of mind of what we have to do. And against a Miami team that's they're coming off a victory, so nothing creates confidence more than winning. So they're coming off a victory, and so they're sitting there building their program. Chuck Martin has done a great job building. He knows how to win football games. He knows how to build football programs, and so he's out there doing the same thing there. So it's a big game for both of us. Well, nagging injuries, and we don't, we're not like the NFL. We're not required to disclose all of our. It's going to be. We'll know some guys are banged up and they'll be ready to go. Some guys we'll hold them out just this. We'll hold a lot of guys out practice. Maybe Monday, Tuesday every week the rest of the year, just to keep them healthy for the game. So, but overall, we're back. We're back It's about as healthy as we've been all year. I think every coach has to use his experience and judgment to determine, especially when you're fighting your fanny off to win ball games and to win. Do you spend and you want to spend more time? We got to do more. We got to do more. More is always better. Well, late in the season, more is not better. Less time on the field is better. So you've got to be careful how much time you put out there on that practice field. We cut back last week. Practice time and we've played some four-quarter games. We played games that you had to play. We had a lot of games where the second, third teamers spend the whole second half playing. We don't get a lot of those games. And so I think it's very important that you don't burn your play. You keep your players fresh. Two things you keep them: enthusiasm and rest. They need to be rested and enthusiastic, rested and positive. And I think that's what you got to do. Do you sit here and talk all week? You better win this one or else. I don't believe that's a positive way to coach a football team. I never has been. You go out there, play your best, get them rested, get your players playing their best, and what else can you ask of them? Well, that's because that's what we're going to do. We rushed for 155 yards, and that would have been a big day. That would have been a game breaker for last year. I think it was a team that we struggled running the ball too much against in the first half. And they play well. Temple didn't run the ball very well against them at all, and they had a couple of games where the teams were not able to run against them. But we stayed with our running game. We we started to run the ball well in the second half, and that's quite often the case. That you've got to do. When you keep on getting it, and you start to wear people down, and your running yards gets in the second half. And that's most people that run the ball well mix it up evenly in the first half. If they get ahead, then the running game mounts up in the second half. If they don't get ahead, the passing game mounts up in the second half. And but we continued our running game in the second half. But you know what? We're coming along. Tommy Woodson he had a couple of mistakes in that game, but he didn't. The thing that I liked compared to in his second year playing, because he had a couple of starts last year. That didn't tank him. He mentally got away from that. We had an interception that really ball probably couldn't. It was one of those where you're probably better off just don't throw it. Throw it away. 1st and 10. Fumbled a ball after a good hard run. Fumbled a football. Now is that going to mess you up? Is that going to lose your confidence? No. He came back and had a nice touchdown run second half. Made some nice throws. Did a nice job of leading us. So I think we're beginning to get more comfortable with Tommy Woodson. We've been through 3 this year, and I think that's kind of where we are, and I think we're more comfortable with that. With him being there, we're starting to get some of our passing game mixed back in with our running game a little bit more, and so we're coming along. But like I say, I think we're a defensive football team, and we're going to try to go out there and be a physical football team on offense, and run that football. Golly, he's got 2 more years after this year. I don't like to speak too much down the road, but if a young man's willing to work hard and improve, there's a lot of upside just because experience is one of the things that you get better with time. You get to repetition. You get a history of reaction to critical situations by having gone through them over and over again. And so, right now we're just wanting him to improve as much as he can between last week and this week, and don't turn the ball over. Don't turn the ball over. You want to win the turnover battle in a road game like this. Let's run our offense. Let's manage our offense. Run our offense. Distribute the ball like we want it done, and let's don't turn the ball over as a football team. Over the years, Joe's usually getting me on the sideline, thinking about what I'm going to say to my team. I'm thinking, okay, what's my speech?
Right.
And it's got to be, fellas, we just give them the ball up 2 times in our own territory. 2 times we gave them every chance to put some nails in the coffin, and they didn't. We're fine. We're 1 touchdown. We score next, we're winning the game. And y'all and we've been great in the second half, and this team has not been able to score a lot of points in the second half. Their points have all come early. And so and it played out just like that. So I think sometimes when you're coming off that field, you've got to play it out. You've got to take that positive into the locker room and be as positive as you can. There's a time to yell at your players, and we'll close the doors and do that behind closed doors. There's a time to be, but like I say, most of all, you want your players focused on what's coming up, not what just happened, and go from there. Steve Erickson didn't good. We didn't mention that, and we didn't. I mean, you picked that up. We played a whole game with a backup center. Scared us to death only because of snaps, timing, and all those things that come from shotgun and all the things that we do. He did an outstanding job in there. And when you talked about we not being able to run much in the first half and staying with it, a lot of that, here's the guy that makes all the calls, has to be the center of all your adjustments. And we've got a guy that's out there starting his first game out there with us. And that's quite a move. But we didn't want to. Bowden has been day to day, and he's practice today. But we didn't want to announce that you make an announcement like that, all of a sudden you got somebody lining up 6 inches off or 3 inches off your center's nose every single play, just to disrupt his focus. But I was very pleased with that. If you remember the first couple of running plays off our goal line, they hit us. They got in the back. They knocked us for some losses coming off a couple times, and as we adjusted to that, we made more and more positive plays. Absolutely. Again, if we can eliminate sacks and pressures, when you're going to try to run the ball, you want to play in front of the chains. You don't want to play behind the chains. Teams that throw it a lot don't mind being behind the chains a little bit because their ability to throw for second 12s and things like that are a little different. So you don't want to have sacks. And again, there's certain things you can throw to avoid having a lot of pocket protection and things like that. But a great job. Daryl Funk, our offensive line coach, he's the third we've had here, has done a really good job. He's really put together a group that many of them didn't have much experience, many of them playing out of a position. Kyle Ritz is playing a lot as a redshirt freshman right now. He's playing a lot of football for us right now, and he's done a good job. And also we lost some tight ends that last week that we had to play some different. Those are critical to all these blocking schemes, those tight end H-back positions that we've had to adjust to as well. So. Steve Erickson did a real good job. The talent, physical confidence, the way their defense plays. Defensive front, this isn't the same team that we played last year. Some of the same players, but they play with a lot more. I think they're very physical. They get after you. They play with a lot of confidence. They play with a lot of. They're kids who clearly believe in what they're doing, and they play very hard. They are second in the conference in sacks. They're one ahead of us, but they got one more game than we have. I think we have better average sack per game, but we're 3, they're 2 in total sacks, and they get after it pretty well. So I think that's where I start. Of course, I watch defense. I don't watch offense. Chuck Amato watches offense. I sit with the offensive coaches and study their defense, so I see more of that. But their defense is playing very well, and if they don't turn the ball over, they have turnover problems. They've had 12, they're minus 12, and we're +1. That's something that you want that to continue, because you take away turnovers and teams change they become different football teams when they don't turn the ball over. It's not a big speech. I don't buy the big emotional speeches right there in the locker room talk. The preparation. The will to prepare kind of theory is what I have. Although I think there are key elements that you've got to make to instill a last-second thought of confidence, of positiveness, of keeping a team believing that good things are going to happen, not bad. And so whatever the situation is, I think that's always my idea is what is it that we've got to focus on and feel good about. And I think there were plenty of things that we could focus on, just like Saturday, the fact that they had not scored any points with those 2 turnovers, and that if we get the next score, we're right back in this game, and if we get the next touchdown, we're in the lead. So I think you always try to find, there very seldom do I see us where I just don't think we played it. We may make mistakes, but when we don't, if I sense we aren't playing hard or with emotion, usually those kind of nasty arguments when you're playing that lower level team that you're out there playing around, we don't get a lot of those, and you're out there winning 7-0 against a team that you're favored by 30 or 40 or something that's really, those are different speeches. Those are different speeches, and you're probably going to give some of those in your lifetime. But most of our games we expect them to go 4 quarters, and if they don't, then we feel awful fortunate.